All right.
Okay, great. I think that we are live. Hello everybody. I am Sex Posy Sheba, and this is Sheba's Spice Rack. It's a talk show about sex and dating and relationships, and I'm going to be having special guests after this recording. You can follow it on my YouTube channel, and today, I'm very excited. My special guest is the gorgeous and wonderful Melissa D of BodyJoy Intimacy School. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Sheba. Nice to see you, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Where are you calling in from today?
Today, because I do a fair amount of traveling, today I'm in my home in Nevada City, California.
Oh, lovely.
I'm in my yummy studio that's warm and cozy, and yeah.
Yay, I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida, and it's raining. So hopefully we don't lose power, but also very cozy. So today we're going to talk about your amazing school. And why don't we start just by having you tell us about how you started as a somatic sex educator?
Wow, yes. So I have to kind of trace back around because it wasn't very linear. It was, that drawing where it's like how you think it's going to go and how it actually goes is like, woo. I have a background as a raw food chef and restaurateur. So that's a different story. Yeah, so I had a restaurant in LA, and that was a whole other chapter of my life. And shortly after I moved to Santa Cruz, and actually it was before that, here's what it was, is I was helping people with deep transformation, and it was around food and lifestyle. And I was really heavily into the raw food scene. So I really believed in the power of plant food and, all that stuff. And what I realized with the people that I would coach, they would either really succeed and have a great time, and other people would totally bite the dust. And so what that led me to realize is that there was something deeper at play in gauging whether people be successful or not. And so I also studied a background in hypnotherapy, and that's kind of what it was, kind of like these breadcrumbs that led along the way. I was listening to podcasts or listening to teachers that I respect, and kind of being fed the idea that there's something really deeper at play when you want to make big changes, especially around diet and lifestyle and sex and intimacy and all that stuff. And so that's what really inspired me to start studying hypnotherapy. So when I moved to Santa Cruz, I studied with a woman for about a year in transpersonal hypnotherapy. And when I would help people, create the diet and the lifestyle they wanted, I got really bored. I got to be honest. I got really bored talking about the protein content in almonds, just like all the things that people get really stuck on. And I can laugh about it now, but like I just got really bored talking about that and helping people with that, because it wasn't any fire. And actually I was doing a teaching tour and speaking at all the music festivals, and there was one workshop in particular that I was teaching, and that was like, how do you step into your most juicy and alive self? Because when we say that, almost anyone can listen to that and paint their own picture. Okay, so I was leaving a lot of space for people to really take it where they wanted to go. And so in that class, I think it was Lightning in a Bottle, actually, many years ago. And I gave the talk, and this now a really good friend of mine and colleague, they approached me and they said, you know, that class was really awesome. Do you ever help people with sex stuff? And I thought for a
Oh, I
minute,
love it.
and I was like, I mean, I haven't, but I don't see why we couldn't just apply, you know, the techniques and the protocols that I already do using trance and using hypnotherapy techniques. And so there at the festival, I ended up doing this session with this person, and it was amazing.
At the festival.
At
Like
the
at the
festival,
festival. Wow.
yep, we just scooted off. You can camp there, and there's like lots of different stages and stuff. So we just use the sound and, you know, the bass that you could kind of hear and the talking and just like the nature. We were in some trees and stuff. I think we just sat in his tent, and I just used that environment to help him kind of relax and go into that space. And I ended up just bringing in the tools that I just know. And we did this really deep session, and I was on the edge of my seat because I was so fascinated at, you know, what he was going through. And in hypnotherapy, if you know anything about it, you're kind of in, at least for me, when I lead people through trances, especially when I have them speaking to me at the same time, you feel like a co-pilot in someone's dream or some sort of reality. So I'm also just very visual. So
Yeah.
I remember like being in that space going, this is so cool. This is so exciting. I love this. And I was just like, I was buzzing inside. And so, and he had this amazing awareness, like this whole thing happened, which is another story. But so that really piqued my interest to, okay, there's got to be someone out there that combines these two, who does hypnotherapy and who also does like sex education and like working with people's sexual difficulties. And so I found a woman in San Francisco. I forget what the school is called because it's changed a couple of times and now it's no longer here. But I studied with a woman named Amy Marsh. And because I already had a very strong understanding and background in hypnotherapy, when I took her course, I already understood it, and I just saw the ways that she was able to apply it. So that's the short story. And then from there, I realized that there was some other piece, somatics and touch and movement and sound, which was another layer. And so I like to kind of fuse all of them, but that's kind of the roundabout what got me to study somatic sex education.
I think that is just fascinating.
I could talk all day about it. I love it.
Oh, good. Because like when I think of hypnosis, I always think about like, you know, people would go to a hypnotherapist to like stop smoking or to, you know, change a behavior, you know, that they want to stop doing. But I would never think that it could help with, you know, people with, you know, issues within sexuality or intimacy. And so like, I'm just really curious, like, how does your work in hypnotherapy like tie into like working with clients now?
So I use a lot of the techniques even in the intake. So, you know, there's things like, you know, mirroring and matching. There's certain conversational things that I use. There's a teacher named Felix that I was really into for a long time, and he would use conversational hypnotherapy. And that's just a way.
Wait. What's mirror and matching? You have to like pretend like I don't know anything about it.
So and you might already do this, but if you are sitting with a friend, a colleague, a student, anybody, and you want to kind of let their guard down a little bit and speak to kind of their unconscious mind or what they may not be noticing with their waking mind, is you want to match their body movements. And so, for example, if we were sitting here and like you did this thing, I may position my body similarly. Now, I'm not doing it to get one up on you. Okay. There's people that use it for manipulation, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like, how do you build rapport and relaxation in somebody? So for example, if I'm sitting with a student and they're just like really uptight and they're kind of bouncy, you know, I may bring my energy up a little bit and kind of meet them there. And then, and so you're mirroring. and then you do what's matching. And so you kind of, or pacing, sorry. So you mirror and match, and then you bring them to whatever, you meet them where they are, and then you invite them to say relax or shift their body, or maybe like, do something else.
Oh yeah, I feel like I do that. I feel like I definitely do that with people, like just because like I'm a, an empath, and I like if someone's feeling really, like agitated or tense, like I might like be really soothing to just kind of bring them to like a more calm state with clients.
Yeah, and so you might have an easier time doing that if you're able to meet them in that. And whether it's like the pitch of your voice, the pace in which you speak, certain words. I listen to people's words and I like to use the same language as them. And then I use that as the gateway to bring them into a more relaxed or like down regulated state. So that's one way. So how do I use these tools is what your question was.
Yeah.
So because my practice is so body based, it's not like I do my traditional hypnotherapy sessions anymore. I do get people that come in and say, can you make me a recording, to relax more? Can you make me, this certain trance, to work on a particular thing? So there's that. But if I run into a client that has some trauma or some sort of thing that happened in their life and it's really difficult, or maybe they have a belief system that's kind of nagging at them, I may bring in some of those hypnotherapy tools to kind of help buffer the situation and kind of work through it. And then I also bring in somatics because I feel that getting in the body, especially coupled with trance, is so profound.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my tools are very blended, but I seem to lean on more of the somatics these days. Whereas before I would only do clinical hypnotherapy, the nice lounge chair, and we would have the music and stuff like that. I still bring those tools in, but it's not my main practice.
Yeah, I've always been really into meditation, and like I really love to be guided by meditation. I can see how, effective that is. And, with clients to kind of help them to relax into their own body.
Yes. Yeah, most people really are open to being guided on just a way to relax and pay attention to their body and notice what they notice. And I do bring that into mindful masturbation circles. When I'm sitting with a couple and we want to kind of drop in together, I lead them through, just a meditation, but I bring in the somatics, the feeling of the body, which is so beautiful. Such a powerful tool.
So beautiful. And like for everybody watching, I'm not a stranger to Melissa's work. I'm a practitioner at BodyJoy Intimacy School, and I've been able to receive this amazing gift of mindful masturbation. And so for anybody who's just hearing this term, it is quite profound. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you on to my show, is to kind of introduce that to people more. And I think that, I don't know, I think not everybody is comfortable or accustomed to talking about self-pleasure practice, right, just casually. So I just thought, this is a good opportunity to just kind of like put it out there. And I've always been a masturbation activist. I was raised in a sex positive home, and I was just like always in like my youth, telling people masturbation is totally natural, masturbation is totally normal. And like, it's really a gift to be able to give that to somebody as a practitioner, and to kind of let them know that it's totally okay. And what, is arousing to them is totally normal. And so I would love to just introduce that work that you do, and kind of invite you to share with the audience about what the practice is and what your mindful touch self practice is all about.
Yeah. So think of it this way. I talk to students all the time about this, and most people don't really think that solo sex, self pleasure and self touch, really has anything to do with partner sex. And I would say, yes, it does, because, or at least most of the time, how we touch ourselves and how we are with ourselves is wiring and kind of getting our nervous system and our whole bodies trained a certain way. So and this is way before I actually took the training in somatic sex education, and mindful masturbation is a one little skill set that we use, right? Which is another story I'll go into. But I realized early on, so when I taught myself how to masturbate, or when I was exploring, my masturbation was always pretty limited. I would be on my belly, on a stuffed animal or a toy. And as I grew into an adult, I would use toys and things like that. But most of it was like in this certain position. And I realized that I wanted to open up my body and be on my back. And I found it really difficult for me to be in another position that I wasn't accustomed to. So we're talking about that neuro network that gets grooved out. The longer we do something and the more that we do it, the more we kind of fire that direction. So if we want our bodies to experience different types of orgasm or pleasure, or have full body sensations, we need to practice these things. And so I realized by, turning on my back and actually practicing different touch, I realized I couldn't get a lot of pleasure out of it in the beginning.
Wow.
I was like, okay, it was difficult for me. And I find this to be true for a lot of students too. Once they start really looking at what are the ways you self-pleasure, how is your breath, how is your orgasm, if you have any, what's going on in your body that you just on autopilot. And so if you want to expand, what your body does and how it responds, you need to introduce it to new things. And so once I did, so when we fast forward, I ended up training my body how to be in this aroused state in a different position. It was freaking awesome. I remember having these mind-bending orgasms in a different position, and it was so awesome. And then years later, when I did the somatic sex education training, there was this whole mindful masturbation piece that was actually put together by Joseph Kramer, who's an amazing man. He actually created and kind of put down the foundation of sexological bodywork, which again is another story, but amazing. And so it's a way for people to get together and practice erotic play and use it as a tool for embodiment. So in the beginning, it was mostly gay men that did it because Joseph Kramer was a gay man keeping people safe. He really promoted people taking care of themselves and caring for their safety in the AIDS crisis. And this was a way for them to get together in temple and still share that erotic energy in a safe way. And so fast forward, once you had Annie Sprinkle and other teachers come in and really structure it to be open to any gender and any sex, it developed into what it is now today. And so people can do it by themselves or like a yoga class, and you go in with an intention and you really bring in your breath and your sound and your movement, and it is your own solo journey. It's not about interacting with the other people, although that can be fun too, right?
Yeah.
But it is about you and your practice and really sharing and holding that erotic energy in a very sweet way.
That is
Yeah,
so beautiful.
So most people that I work with are men that are stuck in their heads, and they're, come sooner than they want to come. They're unsure how to please their partner, all these things. And I always give them the homework of mindful masturbation. How you touch yourself and how you are in pleasure is reflective on how you are as a lover in partnered sex. And so if you want to really build stamina and create more bodily awareness, this is such an easy tool.
Yeah, because they're trained, right? They have their previous, go-to experience that they've kind of, been doing since they were, since they first started exploring their body. So this is
yeah.
Breaking them free from a pattern that's literally been ingrained in them since child development stages.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's just a fun tool, like if you're, having a hard time, I do this double stroke, but if you're having a difficult time, like holding your shit together during pleasure and you want to be able to last longer, slow down and stroke yourself slower, bring in lubricant, breathe in your body, notice what else is going on. I mean, it doesn't even need to take that much time, 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. It's also really healing to have your body be in a heightened state of arousal. If we're talking about imprints and I bring it all back to hypnotherapy because it's a way to
Right.
it's a way to imprint the body with more pleasure and get all those yummy chemicals going so it can be your health and wellness protocol, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it almost sounds like, it definitely sounds very tied into like the hypnotherapy as a practitioner, because it is a form of like anchoring and like taking a moment. And it's like, I don't know, for me, when I first started doing the practice with you, like my experience was, wow, I just kind of go to what works and what I've been doing, and I it was like a moment of like, wow, I'm going to stop, I'm going to breathe, I'm going to take a moment, I'm going to come into my body and come into my sensations, and the whole the slowing it down is just profound. And I think that's like a big part of your work and your message is like that people need to slow it down. Would you say that that was true?
That's the most common thing. I mean, I do work with women as well. Um, and most people, it takes them a little bit of time to fully like come online, whether
Mhm.
it's by themselves in a solo practice or with a partner. And I'm not saying that that's a blanket statement for all the time. Sometimes I can meet with a lover and just be like on and into it
Right.
right away.
Right.
But there's so much going on in our day to days. We live in a heightened state of arousal, meaning like stimulation constantly. We have, families, kids, bills, businesses, all the things, and we have stressors. And you can't be in sexy time, like erotic space, and stressed out at the same time,
Right.
usually. So those chemicals, they don't really work that way. And so most people that I work with have to practice slowing it down and bringing that stress down and then
Mm.
transitioning over into arousal and pleasure and relaxation and all those things. And it just takes practice.
Yes. Do you think that's also a tie into like a tantra practice, just like the coming into the breath and like the power of breath work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Tantra practitioner. I have taken Tantra classes. That's a whole lineage of practice that I am not, studied in, and I have a lot of respect for it. But my study comes from very similar things where we really bring presence to the body and we bring
Mm.
in the richness of the breath and we bring in sound and movement. A lot of people will masturbate or have sex without making a single sound.
Oh,
And so when we do that, we're trapping the energy. And so
yep.
in tantra and in somatic sex education, there's a lot of overlap. How do we get that energy to flow freely in your body so you are fully expressed? And everyone's going to be expressed differently. I'm not saying everyone needs to look or sound a certain way, but if you are tight and closed down or stuck up here, know that our bodies are meant to feel and breathe and have capacity for endless energy. And you can also learn things like, how to separate orgasm from ejaculation if you're a cock owner and
Mhm.
not have it be something that's just short-lived and gone. You can actually come and come and come and experience more pleasure, a lot like people that have vulvas. So it's just learning how to be in your body and sit in pleasure very differently than what we've been taught or what we're trained to do. Boom.
I just love the work we do. I think it's so beautiful.
Mhm.
Yes, and I feel like when I think about the the hypnosis, I think about like mantras, and I definitely know that from my experience, When I did my mindful masturbation practice, I really uncovered some things that were holding me back from experiencing more pleasure and being able to breathe and go deeper within my own body. And I really felt like, you know, having mantras was really powerful for me, and to like almost create a inner coaching for myself. And like, do you agree like that mantras are something that's extremely powerful that can help people with like issues around sex and intimacy?
Yeah, so mantras, in my opinion, and my experience too, they need to be very specific, and they typically need to come from the person. So I've seen coaches and other people, just tally off whatever kind of mantra and it not really sticking. And so it's got to feel true to you. You've got to feel it in your body. When I come up with mantras in some of the ritual space that I do with clients, I will say it to them and have them close their eyes and just feel how it lands. Because if there's one word off or something isn't quite right, then it's not really going to do what it's meant to do. And the other thing is with mantras and like, saying these things, you want to be in a state of relaxation where your brain waves are actually slower, and that's that hypnotic state. Okay. And I can give you this slide. I've got a really cool hypnotherapy slides that I can send you if you want to connect it with the notes. But so basically our conscious mind and our unconscious and our superconscious all is kind of an iceberg, right? And what is above water is our waking critical mind. And a lot of people say mantras in that state. Okay, I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, I'm looking hot today, whatever the mantra is, which is fine because I think we should speak to each other in positive terms anyway, right? Okay, so it's not wasted. But if you want to really get to the depth of a mantra sticking or a belief being changed, you need to drop into that unconscious mind where it's more relaxed and the brain waves are slower, and they're also more susceptible to change and new thoughts. Okay, and so and how do we get there? Meditation, self-hypnosis. And this is when you learn how to relax your mind and body and drop into that very etheric, relaxed state. And then you drop the mantra. So when you see like classically trained hypnotherapists or like even the
right with
you got, and just a fun fact, whoever's watching, both Sheba and I have
that's true.
A hypnosis. We are
fans of the old school hypnosis. It's definitely a fetish of ours.
Yes, it is. When I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, she did a hypnosis act. Awesome. Because
I know it's really what brought us together.
Yeah, so in my act, it was like the swinging watch or like the candle flame, flickering. There's all kinds of ways that we can drop, our waking, chattery mind and drop into that deeper place where change actually happens. So like rhythmic drumming, making love, kissing, listening to an audiobook will put me the fuck out. I mean, all these different ways are ways to relax that chattering mind and drop into that space. And that's when you drop the mantra.
And this is something that just for anyone watching, you can learn about Melissa on her website, but I'm going to let her tell you about that. But don't you offer this as some audio that people can download on your website to kind of get a little taste?
Yeah, definitely. So you can download it for free. It's called The Primer. And it's got an audio recording. It's got meditations for vulva owners, women and men, people with cocks. And it's something that you can listen to. And there's some other like information in there. And then I also do something called the practice, which is just once you grasp that concept, then you can go deeper. And this is something that I work one-on-one with. I also make custom meditations for people that are working through things or want to like, bring in something different. So yeah, contact me and I can hook you up.
Do you hear that, you guys? That is on her website. It's free for both men and women, vulva owners, cock owners. Go to her website and check it out. And then how else can we find you? And is there anything like upcoming that you want to share about? Anything that is new and exciting?
New and exciting, you know me. Well, I'm heading into Canada here in about a week and a half. And we're going to be teaching at the Apollo Project, which we have 2 spaces available. I can put the link below. But also Dr. Hazel Grace and I are doing a whole class up until January called Ignite Your Potency mini-series. And then the actual course starts in January of 2022. Are we there already?
Oh my God, so close, very close.
Yeah, so if you're male identified, someone that's, feels shy about speaking up for your boundaries, maybe you want to last longer in bed, you want to learn how to be with women and be more satisfied and powerful and confident, this whole course is for you. So I can post that down below as well. And people that want to reach me can find me on Instagram, BodyJoy Intimacy School. And you can find me on Facebook, BodyJoy Intimacy School. And you can go to my website, bodyjoy.org.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I just think that you are amazing. I adore you, and I'm so excited about the work that you do and what you're bringing into the world. And thank you so much for joining me and sharing with everybody about your work. Thank you for tuning in for our conversation around mindful masturbation. And you can see this video on my YouTube channel, and you can follow me on ShebaQueenofTheNight.com. And until next time, I will see you guys soon. And thank you, Melissa. Have a great day.
You too, darlings.
Thank you for joining me.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.